Hello and welcome. So in this practice, we're going to be focusing on our throat chakra. So our throat chakra is a center of, expressing ourselves as well as listening. So we're just going to be doing a couple of things with the throat and jaw area, as well as some different breath work. I have the whole lineup of props behind me: a chair. I've got a few blankets, bolster, 2 blocks. I have some myofascial release balls, and then I also have a couche ball. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, as we do with a lot of these practices, with our block and our couche ball in hero's pose. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my block on the lowest setting and the widest between my ankles. It's gonna scooch around a little bit so I'm nice and settled on the block. My sits bones are kind of gently resting there, and then my perineum is resting there as well. And I'm gonna put my couche ball. You can also use a sock, or sometimes I use a cat toy. Just resting under our perineum. So again, that's the space between our vaginal opening and our anus. And really this is just serving as a feedback mechanism so we can practice breathing all the way down into our pelvic floor and learning how to soften in that space. I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm resting my hands on my thighs. You can also maybe like interlace your fingers and just kind of gently rest your hands in your lap, whatever feels good for you. I'm going to close my eyes. Feel free, if that doesn't feel good in your body, to soften your gaze or maybe gaze at just a pleasant object in your space or maybe a pet. Anything that just kind of feels like it will kind of relax your body. You can go ahead and notice the texture of your breath. Does it feel light? Does it feel heavy? Choppy or smooth? No need to think too hard about what it is at this moment. Just notice. And then notice kind of where your breath is flowing through your body. And again, no need to change or shift anything just yet. And draw your attention to your jaw and the space between your eyebrows. See if you can soften there. Maybe soften your shoulders. And I can feel like my head is tipping forward a little bit, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull my chin back and the crown of my head up. For those of us who spend a lot of time on phones or on computers, that tendency can try to sneak in. Just seeing if that adjustment can help any of the airflow coming in and moving out. I'm going to start to invite in Ujjayi Pranayama, breath of victory. If that feels good in your body, you can follow suit. I'm breathing in through my nose and out through my nose. In through the nose and out through the nose. And keep breathing at a cadence that feels good for you. And as you take each breath, each inhale and exhale, notice a deep oceanic sound starting to emerge. And if you're having trouble identifying that sound, start to breathe in a way that feels like you're giving the back of your throat a massage. And as you breathe in and out, see if you can imagine kind of giving your whole spinal column a massage. So as you breathe in, feel your breath going down the inside of your spine, all the way down to your pelvic floor. As you breathe out, feel your breath coming up the inside of your spine, And out through your nose. And as you exhale, you can even notice your breath kind of leaving your nostrils. Inhale through your nostrils, follow the breath down your spine. And I like to imagine almost like little nerve endings coming out from the back of my spine, like inside of my body, almost like they're floating around like seaweed. As I breathe in, the water of my breath kind of washes them downward. And as I breathe out, it breathes them, it kind of moves them upward. Just like seaweed or kelp kind of floating around on the ocean floor of your spine. And if this breath pattern and this visualization feels good, you can stay here. Otherwise, if you're ready to move on, you can actually keep your eyes closed if you have them closed and it feels comfortable. And we're just going to start with a few gentle neck rolls. So I'm just going to start to lower my chin down to my chest. And then slowly I'm going to bring my right ear to my right shoulder. And I'm gently going to gaze up at the ceiling. I'm keeping the back of my neck long. I'm not letting my head drop. I'm keeping it supported. And I'm dropping my left ear toward my left shoulder. And we'll do that one more time. Chin down to your chest. Right ear, right shoulder. Gaze up toward the ceiling or the sky. And left ear to left shoulder. And I'm bringing my chin back down to my chest, and we'll reverse the pattern. So left ear to left shoulder. Gaze up, chin up. Right ear to right shoulder. And then chin down toward your chest. And one more time, left ear, left shoulder. Gaze up, chin up. Right ear, right shoulder. And then chin down to chest. And I'm just going to take some gentle head rolls to the right. And again, I'm keeping the sides and the back of my neck long to avoid crunching, especially when I go back. And I'm also just trying to invite in some gentle movement rather than going to my full range. Let's do one more head circle. And the next time you come forward, we'll reverse to the left. Again, focusing more on like a sense of fluidity rather than like, how far can I go? Just invite in some gentle movement. All right. And then come back to center. And again, if your eyes are closed, you can feel free to keep them closed if that feels nice. And I'm just doing some shoulder rolls up into the back. So inhale, shoulders up toward my ears. And exhale, roll them down our backs. Hands can hang at your side or rest on your lap. And we'll do 2 more to the back, and then we'll do some toward the front. And if at any time kneeling becomes uncomfortable, you can always find a seat instead. And it's time to reverse. Shoulders up toward the ears and then down toward the front. All right, and then I'm gonna start to lift my ears up toward my shoulders. I'm just gonna find some tension. I'm gonna squeeze everything in my upper body tight. And then I'm gonna release and relax my shoulders down my spine. I'm gonna go ahead and open up my eyes now. just take a moment here to rest and notice if there's any change in your upper body, in your shoulders, in your jaw, in your face. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna make some weird faces. And so I like to start out by making faces aligned with like vowels. So A, E, I, O, U. So we're just gonna go ahead and make our face into those shapes. And you can feel free to sound as we're doing this. Sound is it's a big, important part of our pelvic floor healing as well. So feel free to like make whatever noises come up, or you can make the vowel sounds as well. And you can see that I'm making my face like very exaggerated. So kind of, I guess this is a case where we're trying to kind of like find the limits of our face. We're just kind of stretching out our face a little bit. All right, you can keep doing that if that feels good for you. The next exercise we're gonna try is we're just gonna kind of move our jaw and our like upper lip like back and forth. So you can start with just to one side and then the other, one side and then the other. You can keep doing that if that feels good for you. And then the last exercise we are going to try here in our kneeling position is lion's breath. So I'm actually going to come, I'm going to be doing this on my block with my couche ball still. I will show you another variation of how you can, a posture that you can try out. It just does not work in my body. But if you're interested, so a more traditional space for the lower body for lion's breath. And if you need to like tap out your feet or kind of like tuck your toes under while we're here, please go for it. But a more traditional posture for lion's breath is to separate the knees, cross one ankle over the other, and to bring your heel toward your perineum. And then hands will be down. And then your heel is supposed to like rest in your perineum. My body does not do that. And so I'm going to spend a little bit more time on my block with my couche ball as we do lion's breath. And I really like the couche ball because, again, with that idea of having the heel resting in the perineum, this is just a great way to be able to modify for that. If you like, you can do this just kneeling with your hands on your lap. If you want a more active posture, you can bring your hands down to the mat, and then you can just have your hands like forward, and then to kind of like honor the lion's pose, if it feels okay in your body. You can also bring your hands so your fingertips are pointing back and then your hands are spread wide. And if this is too low to the ground for you, you can always use a block and bring your hand to a block instead. All right. So for lion's breath, we're going to take a deep breath into our pelvic bowl, just like we've been practicing. And then as we breathe out, we're going to stick out our tongue. We're going to look up either toward our third eye, or you can just gaze forward, or you can gaze down toward the tip of your nose. Just take a moment here to see like which eye position is most comfortable for you. The tip of my nose is most comfortable for me. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take a lion's breath, and then we're gonna follow that with just 2 normal breaths. And then we'll repeat that a few times. So we'll inhale. And you can sigh, you can ha, whatever noise comes out of your body, like feel free to sound it out and let it out. So inhale, lion's breath. Inhale through your nose. Regular exhale. And 1 more breath in. And breath out. Inhale for lion's breath. Breath in, breath out. And keep going at your own pace. Remember, as you inhale, especially for lion's breath, to focus on breathing down into your pelvic floor. And then as you exhale, breathe out almost as if that is coming out through your pelvic floor, coming up and out from that space. So inhale for lion's breath. Inhale. Exhale. Breath in. Breath out. Inhale for lions. Breath in. Breath out. Feel free to continue with that breath pattern if it feels good in your body. And then for our next posture, we're going to be moving out of heroes. We've done this in another class already, so if you've taken the sacral class, this will be familiar to you. We're just going to take a wide-legged forward fold, and we're going to do some jaw MFR or myofascial release as we do so. So to set ourselves up, I'm going to take this bolster with this chair, and I'm going to prop this bolster right by this chair. And you can see my legs are not at like my full like wide-legged positioning. Like if I wanted to get like a really deep stretch, I'm not there yet. Really what we're just trying to do is get into a position where I'm opening up my body a little bit, I'm softening into my pelvic floor, but I'm just kind of giving my body a heads up at like, we're opening, we're relaxing, but we're not like trying to like change our bodies in like in the way that you might do this if you're like trying to gain flexibility. All right, I'm also going to take a block, and I'm going to take my MFR ball. I have a small ball here. You can use a larger ball as well. And I'm just going to rest my block against my bolster, against my chair. You may not need this many props. If you're at home, if you're in a living room, you can use an ottoman, the corner of a couch. If you have a lower bed, you can just kind of rest the block on top of one of those things. But this metal chair just isn't the most comfortable for me. And so that's why I've got this whole setup. So I'm gonna take the ball. I'm going to find that kind of like space in my jaw closer to my ear on my first side here. And I'm just gonna go ahead. And I like using the block instead of just using the ball against the bolster because it just provides like a more like stable, like I think the hard surface is important for providing just like a sense of like stability for the ball. Otherwise I think the ball would like sink into the bolster, but you can always try it out. And then once you've found your space, just go ahead and relax and maybe close your eyes again if that feels good in your body. If not, you can just soften your gaze. And sometimes it kind of feels nice to like hug the bolster, or you can rest your hands on the floor or on the chair in front of you, whatever feels good for you. And let your body just kind of soften and relax into this space. And once your body settles, you can start breathing into your pelvic floor. And I like to rotate my attention between my pelvic floor and my jaw. So I'll take a few breaths into my pelvic floor. Inhale, softening downward. And exhales, finding a sense of relaxation. And then after a few breaths there, I'll move my attention up to my jaw. And I imagine inhaling into the MFR ball, and again exhaling, like letting the ball sink deeper into the side of my cheek. And I'm going to just find another position of the MFR ball. I just kind of adjusted my head there and let the ball roll. So I'm more in the middle of my cheek. closer to the corner of my mouth. Again, you can find some gentle movement, rocking back and forth. And then we'll transition to the other side. So grab your ball and the block. Again, I'm starting at the back of my right jaw this time. Come back into your breath. And there is a connection between the jaw and the pelvic floor through our fascial network, through nerves, vagus nerve. This is where like it kind of starts at the top of our body, the back of our throat, and kind of goes all the way down into our abdomen. And it's also interesting if you see illustrations or pictures of tissues, the jaw and the pelvic floor actually look strikingly similar, which is very interesting. And then find another position on your jaw. And if you find any sense of somatic release, if you feel tears, if you cry, if you feel like you need to sigh a lot, these are all natural, these are all normal. Let them happen. And find one last spot on the jaw. And then go ahead and hold your ball on the block. Gently lift yourself up. And then I'm going to put my block to the side. And then my bolster to the side. So for this next position, I'm just going to move my chair. You can find a kneeling position like we started in hero's pose, or you can just come to a seat. For a seat, you can feel free to sit on a block. I'm going to sit on one of my blankets just to give my bum a little cushion and to raise it up just a little bit from the floor and let my hips soften a little bit. And then I'm going to place blankets under my knees on either side. And I'm actually just going to kind of cross at my ankles here versus fully crossing, like when we think crisscross applesauce. So feel free to kind of find a position that feels comfortable for you. And then I'm gonna rock myself forward, and I like to kind of pull my bum out a little bit so I can really firmly have my sits bones on the floor beneath me. And then I'm gonna bring my hands to my knees for now, and then I'm gonna pull my heart back. So my pelvis is still tilted forward. I still kind of have this anterior pelvic tilt, so my bowl is almost spilling forward. So I'm gonna honor that, that's natural for my body, but then I just wanna pull my heart back so my shoulders are stacked over my hips. And then from this place, I'm gonna bring my hand out to the side. You may wanna have a block handy in case you need it. We're just gonna be crawling our right hand out, our left hand is gonna come up, and we're just gonna take a nice side bend. And again, if this is too much for your body, you can always have your hand on a block so you're a little more lifted. And again, I'm gonna keep pulling my heart and my rib cage back so my ribs don't pop out. And then I'm just finding this nice side bend, and you can gaze down at the floor, or you can gaze forward, or you can even gaze up, whatever feels more comfortable on your neck. And as I'm here, I'm sending my breath all the way down, again, into my pelvic floor. Then I imagine it kind of passing my hip space, going through the sides of my ribs, my intercostals, through my armpit, and all the way up and out my fingertips. And what we're doing here is just creating a little bit more space on the sides of the body. You can stay here for a few more breaths. If you'd like to invite a little bit of movement, inhale, look down at your hand. Exhale, cactus your top arm and gaze up. Again, keeping your heart back and your rib cage closed. And no need to like tense and tighten your rib cage, just kind of like bring it back. Inhale, gaze down, reach out. Exhale, bend and look up. Inhale, gaze down, reach out. Exhale, cactus, look up. And just creating a little bit more space in the upper body. And cactus. Last one, look down. And cactus. I'm going to reach and then come back up. All right. So we'll stay here for just a moment, just kind of noticing how we feel. Comparing the two sides of our bodies, noticing any difference in openness or any other qualities that might emerge. And then next we're just going to find a gentle twist. So I'm going to take my left hand and I'm going to cross it over to my right knee. If yours doesn't quite reach that far, you can just kind of bring your hand to like your right ankle or wherever it does reach. I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to bring it behind me, kind of like a second spine. And what I'm doing here is I'm using that backhand as leverage to kind of be able to open up my body. Now, I have a tendency to pop out my ribs. And so if this holds true for you, I'm going to think about bringing, again, my heart back. I'm thinking about bringing the back of my rib cage up and the front of my rib cage down. And then from that point, I'm twisting. So if I pop out my rib cage, I actually am able to use that this space that's created by popping out to get a much deeper twist. But that is actually likely restricting the movement of my diaphragm and the amount of airflow that I'm getting down into my pelvic floor. And so even if you're here and you're like, but I can twist deeper, restrain oneself. So kind of just remember too that by finding this alignment and finding this, being able to kind of, even though we're not twisting as deep as we are, or that we're used to, and sometimes that can feel really good to get that like rinsing sensation. Our goal here right now is to create a better and a stronger container to get airflow down into our pelvic area. So if this feels okay for you, you can stay here. And then if you want to get a little bit more action in your upper body, you can actually gaze over your left shoulder. And again, breathe deeply into your lower back. And if it helps, if you need to bring your koosh ball back underneath you, you can place it there. Otherwise, just imagine it's there. And soften into it with every inhale. All right, and then gently release. Shake out your hands if you need to. And then we'll do everything on the left. So again, if you need a block, you can bring it over. We're just gonna take a nice side body stretch over to the left side. Again, find your rib basket position. And send breath into your right hip and all the way down into your pelvic floor. And as you exhale, feel your kind of right armpit softening and opening. As you inhale, feel your rib cage expand. And imagine just kind of creating more space in that rib basket for more breath to flow. And if you like this still space, you can stay here. And if you want movement, gaze down, reach. And then gaze up, cactus your arm. Gaze down and reach. Gaze up, cactus arm. Gaze down and reach. Up, cactus arm. Last full one, down and reach. Up, cactus arm. Gaze down, and then push yourself up. And again, just take a moment to notice how you're feeling, if and how space has been created in the sides of your body, maybe in your shoulders and your chest space. And then we're going to take our right hand, crawl it over to our left knee. And I'm going to take my left hand, create that second spine. If it helps to kind of see like what this looks like with my ribs popped out, here my ribs popped out. Here is the back of my rib cage pulled up, the front of my rib cage pulled down. And this is about as far as I can twist in that space. I'm just going to take a few breaths here. Softening my shoulders, relaxing my jaw. And then I'm going to gaze over my right shoulder for that double twist. And I love this because I get a nice, gentle stretch kind of from my ear all the way to my left shoulder. And kind of gentle rinsing of the body. Gently unwind and bring your hands to your knees. And again, just notice if and how you feel any more open, what's changed, if anything. And then for our last exercise, I'm going to take our 2 peace fingers, and we're just going to give ourselves like a gentle lymphatic massage. So we're just going to start, you can start on either side. I'm going to start on my right. I have my fingers behind my ear here, and I'm just gently dragging them down to my collarbone. And we'll just do that about 10 times. And again, just a very gentle press, almost like you're maybe like gently squeezing a tomato to see if it's ripe, similar to how you might do manual work for pelvic floor. And I'm going to do one more. And then other side, again, 2 peace fingers behind the left ear down to the collarbone. And it seems so simple. I know it can feel like, oh, we should press really hard. That'll make something happen. But these gentle movements can really have more of an impact than I think we're really aware of, especially over time. And we'll do just a couple more. All right, that's it for this class. I hope you have a great day.